Hello community, so great that you are back. Let's talk about FinanceAI, let's talk about Deep Research Agent. And yes, welcome to my channel, Discover AI, the latest research. Now, I want to talk about real data, about financial analysis workflow where we have a real financial deep research benchmark from real companies. I don't want any synthetic benchmark. I don't want any synthetic ideas or simulated data. I want real world data. I want 64 listed companies from 8 financial markets across 4 languages. And let's grade 15,000 items here. And I want to see what is the performance of financial AI today. I don't want anything else. So let's start with this. You know, we started with RAG. Retrieval Augmented Generation operates by stuffing some retrieved text from some financial databases, some chunks into the context window of a GPT system, and it was great some years ago. Then we had our single agent with the API calls and multi-agent with MCP protocols and agent-to-agent protocols. But today we talk about AI agents, deep research agent. They run for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and they just go out in the wilderness and they search for the data. They have their own intelligence and hopefully they come back with new insights. Let's have a look. Deep research agents, so let's think about it's a multi-step research project, no? Designed to complete a complex task. Let's say we have a structured multi-part output, like, hey, write me a financial report, a full financial report that is according to human standards. So we have multiple heterogeneous and live sources here on the internet. Go out, live web, query financial databases, API, annual reports, use different tools to process the data, do whatever you want, but write me a full financial report and then we're gonna evaluate this report. And I hope that you are better than any single agent AI system. So our deep research agent are just here the conceptual successors here of our classical old-fashioned RAG system. Great. And if you want, what's the difference? Well, RAG had to wait in this new system. They have a little bit of a brain, a little bit of intelligence in their agents, and they say, you know what, we don't wait here. We just go out. We have an API call to a search engine. We say, hey, let's query NVIDIA's revenue for the financial year 2024. Or if it needs to perform a calculation, it goes out here to a coding environment, to a code interpreter, and has the simple mathematical operation. So let's have a look now, the multi-agent. What is the latest research in AI? Just published days ago. Here we go. And you would say, yeah, but wait a minute. You know, it is hard to predict future financial indicators, you know, because I have a minimum 10 emails every day that tells me, hey, my app can foresee the near future for the financial market, which is absolute nonsense. And therefore, I would say, okay, I agree with you. Our deep research agent will not be tested on their predictive power. This is why we have AI systems. But I say, okay, forget about any prediction. I just want the AI in the first step understands the current financial status, the state of the financial market. Then you might say, yeah, but no, it's hard to find complex financial relations here. Maybe we have to pair them with geopolitical news. And I say, okay, no problem. So only reported financial data in the corresponding annual reports by the companies themselves. You don't have to go out for news flash. You don't have to have complex relationship. Only what was reported by the companies themselves in a historic view. No prediction. And then I would say, yeah, but you know, it's hard to find a perfect financial report structure for the companies. I say, okay, I agree. But now the final point. I will give you the complete structure for the financial report that the AI has to fill out. The AI has not to think about anything else. Just from the template, have a look. I have to fill out now, I don't know, a certain ratio or a certain earning structure. And I provide you the financial report structure. Okay, so let's start this task. So just to be clear that we understand on what simple task we evaluate our super intelligent AI systems is, we evaluate only on past events. We evaluate it only on official documentation that are published here by the company itself. You don't have to go out and find hidden pattern in the news stream. Evaluate it only on a predefined report structure. The AI does not have any complexity about, are there some hidden patterns here about the geopolitical situation and some financial indicator on Wall Street? Nothing. Eliminated. And then evaluated only on a reduced complexity for the financial reporting. Nothing advanced. The old classical stuff you can do with a pocket calculator. This is it. And you might expect, like I do expect, okay, is it 99.5% or is it 99.7% success? Well, let's have a look. This is the study. National University of Singapore, Asian Institute of Digital Finance, Singapore, Hefei, University of Technology in China, University of Science and Technology of China in China, published October 15, 2025. What a beautiful study. Financial deep research. Evaluating, finally, deep research agent in a real-world rigorous financial analysis that is really an indicator how good is AI today. So what is the goal? The goal is simple. No prediction, nothing. Just generate the classical, old, boring financial analysis report that we have thousands of a financial template hierarchy. It's not random. It is predefined. It is designed here. We have the simple facts, the company overview, then we have some numerical data like the typical financial performance, and then maybe we dare to ask an AI to have a synthesized inside paragraph with a little tiny bit of a business analysis. This is it. Now, of course, this report structure, and this is the nice part, is really done in the real world way. So they had human senior expert here from the financial department that really constructed this like it is used today in those organizations here. And they say, you know what, for the first performance indicator, what we want to have a performance metric that just tells us, hey, this report that is now generated by our deep research agent, let's call this a structural rigor. Is it really here posting here each financial data in the right position on our template? And then we say, okay, now if we have this template, we simply need an evaluation engine. Eh? And now the authors here said, hey, we introduce here his rubric. And I said, what? So a simple explanation, it goes with an expert-designed hierarchical structure, his, to guide here the deep research agent to conduct rigorous financial analysis and a fine-grained grading rubric for comprehensive assessment. Okay, let's do this. So, this particular rubric is composed of 247 fine-grained grading items designed to assess here 4 capabilities in our agents. That is, if you want a classical structure. So the first thing the first dimension of intelligence that we want to examine is recognition. Does it recognize where's the headquarters of this company from the annual report? Is it able to understand the question? Then some calculation. Basic financial calculation from a pocket calculator. Nothing fancy, no prediction, no time series, nothing. Then the level of abstraction, and finally the most complex here, and maybe there's a little bit of reasoning happening now in these deep research multi-agent systems. Interpret the result. If you are not so intelligent like I am, rubric is an assessment tool often agreed to a matrix that outlines clear criteria and standard for a task or for performance style. Great. So here we go. Research task instruction. Based on its financial statement, historic stock prices, relevant news, and other necessary information for the financial year 2023 and 2024, please provide a research report for the company NVIDIA following the given analytical structure. That's it. That's what we do. So we have a rigorous hierarchical structure here from these beautiful people who did this study. You have the company overview, you have the financial performance, you have the business analysis, the risk factor, the corporate governance, the market performance. Everything is there. Where you take the data? You take the data from the annual reports of this NVIDIA company that were officially published. You don't have to go for some hidden details on the internet. You have the official company publication. It couldn't be simpler, no? You just have to find, hey, what is the cash flow statement in the financial annex? And then you bring it over here, you fill it in, and then we rate it. Have you been correct? Is it the correct ratio? Is this the correct indicator? Great. And our grading rubric here, you have interpretation, abstract calculation, recognition, whatever, a lot of data. Now, the second performance metric, of course, is now the information precision. You want to know, is it really 48%, or is it just 2%, or is it 212%? So you say, hey, I just want to say here, if our deep research AI agents, multi-agents, are they factually correct? Are those agents really able to write here, to extract the right number, let's say from cash flow, and put it in the template here for this new financial report? This is it. If it succeeds, it gets 100% information precision. I mean, it couldn't be easier, no? Wait till you see the results. So the authors created here a very nice way to evaluate multi-AI agent by first forcing them to generate a report that follows a clear, structured, professional-grade hierarchical template structure. And then they use here a really detailed multi-level scoring guide, the rubric, to check every single financial fact, every single financial calculation, and all the reasoning insights within this report. Beautiful. But remember, we have a predefined structure, and we have all the data available in the annual documentation. There are no data missing. There are no strange behavior. It is all there presented. Okay. So you might say, now what's happening now? Just understand that this financial analysis is so simple. It is just retrospective. It's not anything about what will be this rate in the next 3 months in the future. It is purely diagnostic. The intelligence quotient is almost converging to 0. Everything is there. It is not even a market analysis. It is a single company analysis. It is a single listed company. It's not asked at all, hey, will the semiconductor market grow next year? This is a complexity AI cannot handle. And if you have 20 different agents. Retrospective analysis, you have the annual reports, beautiful. I mean, come on, it couldn't be easier, no? So, agent must go beyond just stating the fact, and then here on the highest level, it's say, let's recognize the revenue figures here from the income statement of the company. Then it calculates the year-over-year revenue growth in percentage point, and you might say, my goodness, this is a complexity for an AI. And then either it's a growth or a decline, you know, there's a plus or there's a minus sign, and then you link it to a product launch, whatever is mentioned in the part of the report. You don't have to go and search for it. It is there in the same report. My goodness, it couldn't be easier. Okay, so let's say another example. 2023, 2024 annual reports for any company. Again, we have 4 axes. We have 4 primary, if you want, dimensions that we evaluate. The first phase is the simplest, is the recognition. Let's extract revenue for the years 23 and 24. Then the calculation. Oh, we have to do some mathematical operations like plus or minus or divide by, like calculate the debt to equity ratio. Then, going a little bit higher in the complexity abstraction here, we are at the extraction level itself. Summarize the key points. And then, the top notch avalon here, interpretation. Analyze and explain why the profit margin decreased despite higher revenue, perhaps pinpointing here that they spend much more on R&D, as mentioned and as explained and as stated in the annual report. So the interpretation is really down to basics. What it is not. It has no complexity about market forecasting. 0. It has no technical analysis, trading volumes, price-based indicator. 0 would be too much complicated. Not at all anything about high-frequency algorithmic trading. Come on, this is a complexity, never ever. So we do have a hierarchical reporting structure, 6 main sections, 18 subsections that were done by financial professionals. This is a standard. And then we have a rubric of 247 specific grading items in our 4 dimensions, recognition, calculus, abstraction, and interpretation. We have from 93 items down to 40 items. And let's do this. And you might say, but wait a second. Before we jump into GPT-5 or Grok 4 or Gemini models, we have to have the ground truth. Yeah? Absolutely. So what they did, they looked at 8 financial markets across 4 different languages. It's 64 listed companies in 10 industries. And then they had a look at all the financial databases, API, whatever, new stock indexes, whatever. And then they had the first run. They said, okay, let's use here everything from OpenAI, Anthropic, QUAN, GPT. Let's have a run. Let's see how stupid those AI systems, those deep research systems are. And then they said, okay, now we have to pay the humans and multi-round verifications. So 30 humans sit down, looked at this result, and had to correct these results manually. Go there to each of those companies, look at the reports, have a look here at each and every single financial indicator, recalculate it. Was it correctly positioned here in the template position where it belongs to? Is the numerical value a correct value? 2 rounds of human verification and review. And this is why it's so beautiful. They really invested here in human verification. They really wanted to have here the gold standard for those 64 companies in 4 languages on 8 financial markets. Great. Was not an easy task. Why? They said, hey, we cannot trust an LLM to simulate a human investor because LLMs hallucinate, misinterpret the data, make calculation errors, and suffer from API errors. So great. If the financial experts say, no way I use an LLM for this, you get a feeling. So the human expert, now the first job was to take here the provisional AI-generated pre-alpha report and then meticulously verify every single one of 247 grading items for each of those 64 companies. Can you imagine this? This is a bone work. Now, they found out that given here different cultural areas like China, US, or UK, or Malaysia, they have different reporting structures. No? So some companies have operating income listed, some not. So there you have to go down and have here calculate subtracting operational expenses from the gross profit yourself per hand. And then, yeah, and they said a LLM, guess what, failed at this little difference. So everything was done here by a human expert to have the perfect golden ground truth. And then they said it was not enough, and we looked also for the correct interpretation according to the professional accounting standards here. Great. So then they had here the round 1. We had specialists here for financial performance, for corporate governance, whatever. And the round 2 for the cross-section review. And a senior human panel of senior specialists reviewed the entire report so that the document is internally consistent with every accounting details you can imagine on this planet. Gorgeous. And they said, okay, let's compare this to the other financial benchmark. And here in the last line you see there, financial deep research, finance here in 4 different languages, about 15,000 items here. And I say, yeah, of course, we wanted here the deep research agent to go on the internet and find the annual reports from NVIDIA. And here we have the result. Now hold on, because this is the performance of a GPT-5, of a Grok 4, of a QUAN, Tongji Deep Research, of OpenAI, O3 Deep Research, Perplexity, Sonar Deep Research, Claude Sonnet 4.5, DeepSeek version 3, and Mistral Deep Research. 3 color graded. The simplest one is in green, just the LLM in this thinking mode. And here or here, you see here the base point here for GPT-5 here. This is here thinking. Then we have the agent here where we have a search API or a search agent. This is here the orange part. Great. And then we have in blue the multi-agent deep research that really goes out for half an hour on the internet and just looks for all the information. We already have a reduced complexity. And you see here for Grok 4, the first one is LLM thinking, then a little tiny if you have the search agent, and then we have the multi-agent deep research activated. So you see what is each of those elements contributing. it is interesting. Where is it? GPT-5 here and O3. You see GPT-5 achieves here with the thinking mode in green and the orange mode. Hey, wait a second. In green and with the orange mode in thinking and search agent, 38%. And okay, this is OpenAI O3 deep research, but you see what, let's say half a year ago, O3 was doing here with multi-agent deep research, also 36, now it's 38% just by GPT-5 itself. But remember, we have a search agent, maybe we have a coding agent, and especially with O3, we had not only the search agent, but also a coding environment, Python or whatever, C++ you have, and you have inherent coding environments like you have now in GPT or in Grok 4. Great. So you see, this is just a dimension to the calculation. Calculate the ratio of profit to whatever. The accuracy score is 40%, max 44%. What about the delta to 100? Why is this the max performance we can achieve today? Let's go to a next higher level of complexity, the abstraction dimension. Same stuff like before. Now you see that OpenAI O3 Deep Research is here the leader of the gang, but the accuracy score is below 45% still. And you might ask, why is this possible? I mean, Claude Sonnet 4.5, yeah? You have here the thinking in green, then you have the search agent here in orange. Okay, why is this limited to 39%? And then you can down here Perplexity in Gemini 2.5 Pro with all three elements. So you got a real good feelings where we are today for the level of abstractions. But of course, what we are interested in is the highest level, no? Where the reasoning of the AI agents happening, the coordination, the talk between the AI agents, and they say, you know what, let's reason about, did we found new insight? Have we found a new hidden pattern in the financial data? Was there something new, something special? Maybe would give us a projection into the very near future, maybe just the next days or the next weeks. So here we have now the latest dimension of interpretation. And now I start to cry here, because the best model on this planet is at 20%. And you know, there's 80% that is missing for a real trustworthy FinanceAI system that you could use here and trust your financial data with. Accuracy score is here at 20% max. This is so sad, I can't tell you. This is the real world performance. If you want to see everything here on one screen, here you have it. What I have not shown you is the very simplest level recognition, like, hey, where is the headquarter of NVIDIA situated according to the annual report? This is recognition. And you know what? Are we at 100%? No, we are below 60%. And I don't get it. This is where we are today. And people talk about AGI, people talk about superintelligence. Jesus, just look at real world financial data. And this is such a beautiful study. And you have much more informative parameters here if you read the study. But I just wanted to give you the final result that you get an idea. So we can identify the location of the headquarter with our deep research agents. Max performance is 60%. We can have basic calculation of the most simplest financial indicators of ratios. Max performance 44%. We can have some abstraction, the simplest kind, max accuracy score 44%. And then if finally we come here to the pure AI reasoning capacity, no? Pattern recognition, hidden patterns, new indicator, new something is happening somewhere in politics or somewhere in logistics, or I don't know. Where are we? Looking just back at the accuracy score, 20% is max. We should be crying. Interestingly, 4 different languages. So you see US, UK, China, Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So what we have America, we have simplified Chinese, we have standard Chinese, and some Indonesian main dialect. Great. But look at the performance. Interestingly, for Hong Kong, Grok 4 Deep Search is here the best performant. OpenAI O3 Deep Research has less performance. For US, UK, OpenAI O3 looks really good. So interesting that you have with different languages, have a look at the detailed data, you have different performances. But what I also like is here, you have here the syncing model. So there are the LLM non-syncing, they're not even here yet. So here we have the Gemini 2.5 Pro T for syncing. Here you have the syncing, if you want performance here. Then you have syncing and searchability. You have a search agent. So you go here with Gemini 2.5 Pro from 19.9 to 22.9%. And then you have the real deep research agent, multi-agent, really long time, half an hour, maybe 2-3 hours. I've heard some reports here for a real deep research task here. And they go here to, where is my Gemini? Gemini 2.5 Pro, 37%. Have a look at your model. Have a look if you want to go with the syncing model. Have a look if you maybe want to activate a search agent here to your, I don't know, Gemini 2.5 Pro. This gives you here a beautiful insight. Also, should you pay for the very expensive deep research multi-agent configurations. They also have a very nice case study if you go in the annex here of this publication. And there you see, for example, with the grading items, total liabilities or shareholders' equity, how the different model find here different answers. Let's say OpenAI GPT-5, only the syncing model, no chance. But OpenAI GPT-5, the syncing and the search agent, finds here in blue the correct answer. Also OpenAI O3. Or you go here to profitability and earnings quality. Have a look at this. Really nice. But they also like annualized volatility. GPT-5 here thinking, no idea. And GPT-5 thinking and search, no way that it will find this. And OpenAI O3 Deep Research found an incorrect value. So we are so far away from the simplest financial reporting that humans are doing every day in all the different stock market on this planet. Yeah, what a beautiful real-world benchmark. Have a look at it. It's gorgeous. It's not available yet, the code. I contacted them. They told me, hey, it will be published soon. So whenever you see this video, check the GitHub. Otherwise, I hope I've given you here a real-world feeling about the performance of FinanceAI multi-agent system, deep research agent systems. And you have now a perfect understanding where we are with the actual performance, and does not please anybody dare to come to me and tell me about financial super intelligence AI systems. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you subscribe, maybe you become here a member of my channel. In any way, I hope to see you in my next video.